Okay, so we are going to be wrapping up Unit 1, and this is the last lesson that we're going to do before we move on to Unit 2. So here is what I'm going to need you to do for this assignment. This is not optional. This is something that you're going to have to do, and we had talked about doing the art criticism part at the very end of the unit. So you're going to need to get a piece of paper, and you're going to need to, you can watch this at first with your class, but you're going to need to go back either on Canvas or Dojo, and you're going to need to analyze this picture, which means you're going to have to play this video back and pause it, and you're going to have to answer some questions. I suggest that you write the number down 1, and then you answer the questions, and then once you answer all the questions, you can retype them up and upload them to submit them to me with your answers to your test questions. So we're wrapping up line and shape. And what you're going to be doing is you're going to describe, before we do this real quick, I'm going to read you a little bit about the artist and this painting. This is an artist named Jacob Lawrence. We looked at him earlier in one of our other chapters. But his name is Jacob Lawrence, and his painting is called Builders Number 1. Let me read to you a little bit about Jacob Lawrence. Jacob Lawrence was born in 1917. His parents had just moved from the South to North in a huge African American migration that was going on at the time. The families picked up their belongings and they journeyed across the United States. They were looking for better lives, and it was difficult for them to find work in the South at the time. So his parents hoped that it would be different in the North. Their family moved around a lot, and finally they settled in Harlem, New York. His father's left the family to go to work, so he was in his apartment with his mother, his brother, and his sister in Harlem. And the family lived in a tall apartment building surrounded by other tall buildings. Their neighbors were also African Americans. Lawrence did not do well in school for an after-school program, and the things that he learned there changed his life. After-school program, he began to draw, to color, and to paint. And by experimenting, Lawrence taught himself how to paint, and he also learned about some important Black heroes, including Harriet Tubman and Frederick Douglass. His family never had enough money, and Lawrence had to drop out of school to get a job. And when he was working, he didn't have time to paint, but he longed to create. And when he was 21, he worked in an after-school program called the Easel Program, which paid him to paint. And during this time, he began painting series. He wanted his paintings to tell a story, and he painted the series to tell about the story of Harriet Tubman. And then he painted another that told Frederick Douglass's story. He also painted a series about African American migration, which his parents took part in, moving from the South up to the North. Okay. He created a lot of panels in the migration series, and that brought him fame and fortune. And suddenly his paintings paid more and more of the bills. He created paintings about everything that he saw, and he served in the Navy during World War II. He painted images of daily life, and when he checked himself into when he went to a hospital, he also painted pictures of the other patients. Okay. In his old age, he moved to Seattle and taught art classes where he wasn't teaching. He loved to paint pictures of the workers in construction buildings. He stayed in Seattle until he passed away in the year 2000. Okay. So we're going to look at this artwork, and it says, what do you see? During this step, you're going to create information about the subject and the work of art. So question number 1, what does the credit line tell you about this painting? The credit line, remember, is the information that is below the picture. Write down all the things that you can tell about the credit line. Okay, next. During this step, we say we're going to create information about the subject. Describe the man and the setting. By the way, let me tell you a little bit about this painting, okay? So we said that from the time that he was young and into his adulthood, he was very interested in builders. And when he was a child, he loved to watch them work. As a grown-up, he enjoyed collecting tools, and he liked the way that they looked and he fit in his hand. And he once said, "The hand by itself is a beautiful tool. Builders are a common theme in his artwork. He often drew and painted carpenters working together, building a better life, okay, for themselves and for their community. So a lot of his artwork has to do with building, and it's not just building buildings, it's also talking about rebuilding a new life, okay? So tools are an essential part of this effort. So you look closely at this painting and you will see some of the tools that are in this picture. So in this one, this question, describe the man and the setting. And we know what a character is and we know what a setting is. So please write that down. How is this work organized? Think about how the artists use the elements and principles of art. So this whole time from chapter 1 all the way to chapter 6, we've talked about a lot of different things. What do you see in here? So it's asking, where do you see that we talked about vertical lines, horizontal lines, and diagonal lines? Where do you see those things? Describe where you see them and tell me where. Where do you see the curves at? Write down where you see the curves. Where do you see the freeform and geometric shapes? That was one of our lessons also. Okay. What is the artist trying to say? Use the clues that you discovered during your analysis to find the message the artist is trying to show you. I kind of already gave you the answer to that. We talked about how he's rebuilding things, and it's not just he's not just a picture of him building it, things. He's also means that he's talking about rebuilding a life, rebuilding a better community and a better place for his people. Okay. Now, answer this question. Is this a calm picture or a busy picture? And how do the lines and the shapes affect the look of the work? There's no right or wrong. Just want your opinion on this. Remember, I said that you should be able to talk about your artwork or talk about other artworks with some of the things that we learned. Do you think the man likes what he is doing? What do you think about the work? Use all the information that you have gathered to decide whether or not this is a successful work of art. Is this painting successful because it's realistic, or because it's well organized, or because it has a strong message? You explain and you decide. All right, let's take our test now. All I want you to do is just, if you would write down all your answers, and at the very bottom, you're going to write down test, and then you're going to write down the letter for these, I think, 4 questions. So number 1, lines that make things look tall and calm are called curved, A, B, vertical, or C, horizontal. Lines that make things look tall and calm, curved, vertical, or horizontal. Number 2, lines that cause a feeling of excitement are zigzag, curvy, or squiggly. Which lines cause a feeling of excitement? Zigzag, curvy, or squiggly? 3, shapes that are uneven and not regular are called complex, circles, or freeform shapes. Shapes that are uneven and not regular. 4, shapes that are made by combining simple geometric shapes are called diamonds, complex geometric shapes, or horizontal. Shapes that are made by combining means putting together simple geometric shapes. Simple geometric shapes put together. There's diamonds, complex geometric shapes, or horizontal lines. 5, the art of designing and planning buildings is called an art designer. Well, they're talking about the person who designs. It's called a planner, or it's called architecture, the type of art that is planning buildings. Art designer, planner, or architecture. Okay, we will check our answers later. We have completed Unit 1 and have a great day. Make sure you get all your stuff turned in, because I have to turn all this stuff in, and everything needs to be turned in and put into PowerSchool before October the 15th. Make sure you get it in. See ya.